Welcome to a Hero's Welcome podcast, where stories, healing, and culture meet. Every episode, we invite you to listen, reflect, and be curious.
This podcast is a space for mental health therapists where we talk about the real work of healing.
Whether you're a mental health professional, a proud geek, or somewhere in between, you're in the right place.
So let's jump in.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of a Hero's Welcome podcast. I'm your co-host, Maria, and I'm here with my co-host.
That's me, Liliana Baylon. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully it's morning by the time you're listening to this podcast. And if not, just go with it. Go with the flow.
It's morning somewhere.
It's morning somewhere. We are here with our special guest, Laura. Laura, how do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess one of the kind of quickest ways, I'm a child therapist in Los Angeles. I'm in LA. Sorry about everybody or going around. But no, child therapist, private practice owner, Laura.
It's like, isn't it funny when we start apologizing for our location? Everything that is just happening. I'm so sorry. Let's move on.
It feels like the world's a little bit on fire from every corner. So it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. But we're so glad that you're here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, glad to be here.
So we are so excited that you're here. Can you tell us, Laura, what is it that we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so I'm also an educator. So that's another kind of hat I have. I teach at Pepperdine University here. And I've been so I teach some of the child and adolescent classes for therapists, MFTs. And I'm actually noticing kind of either they don't want to work with couples or families, but I'm actually noticed, at least in LA, which is really surprising, there's not enough child therapists.
Yes.
So as saturated as therapists are here, there's not a lot who want to work with kids, I'm noticing.
Yeah. So let's name it, right? Because we've been noticing that for a couple of years now. I'm not going to say what happened a couple of years, but we're going to say something happened a couple of years where a lot of people are actually either, I love that you named that, either terrified to work with children and therefore they're not working with that population, or terrified working with couples and therefore stay away from them too. But let's focus on being a child therapist, a play therapist. Have you noticed anything to highlight why people, is it burnout? Is it after COVID? Is it the credential? Is it the training? Is it the liability? Or is it all of the above?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, but I think too, like the quality supervisors here too. Like there's not enough supervisors trained to work with children and adolescents. So the students, at least that I know that do work with children or at schools, are not getting good supervision. Because at least here, to be a supervisor, it's just like you have to be licensed 2 years and get a CEU course, which I don't think is really good. But I think a lot of the training too for some of the students is not as good. So that's why being an RPT, you get the training, you get quality supervision. So that's what I enjoyed about that. But I think it's like a blend of all of them, and also working with parents. A lot of people don't want to work with parents. So that's like another kind of con. And there's legal issues because the law and ethics are different from working with kids and adolescents to adults. So it's like a blend of all the above.
It is a specialty, right? Like working with kids is a specialty. It does require additional training and supervision and considerations. You're not alone in finding that there's this drought in the clinicians field where people don't want to work with kids. Like we're going to talk about kids specifically this morning. And I think a lot of it comes from what you've named. I know in our community, there aren't places for internship or externships that deal with children. Most of our local spots are they're adults.
Yeah.
And so they come out of program with zero or very little interactions practicing skills with kids. And I think that's where it starts. Right. And then it becomes like, oh, well, now it's too complicated. They're different. I didn't have that experience, or there isn't anyone to supervise me who can help, like really feel like they've got my hand to walk me through this.
Especially at university settings, as you were sharing, Because I know here in Colorado, there's not a lot of registered play therapist supervisors at the university level providing not only the classes, but the supervision. So that becomes himself a specialty. And then, as Maria was mentioning, then even when you graduate and then you go to a lot of agencies that say, yes, we work with kids, but they don't offer proper supervision because they're not RPTS or they're not even RPTs.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
all of you who are listening, you should see the faces the three of us are doing because ethically, we're breaking so many things here by not being professional and ethical as providing these services either to the supervisees or to the kiddos that we're serving. But the thing that I want to go back, because as a parent, Maria is a parent. Laura, are you a parent?
No. No
Look
parent.
at you. Is that why you look so younger than us? I mean, we're not going to make a big deal out of it. But
Ah,
why are therapists afraid of us parents? We're so lovely.
Liliana, the parents are the problem. We've had a whole conversation around this already. I think and Laura, you can share with your experience too. When I do find someone who's willing to work with kids and willing to do the training, and I'm willing to do supervision with them as a play therapist supervisor, and we get them in the room and they start to feel confident in working with kids, then you're like, oh, and now we need to do a parent consult, or this is how we involve the parents. And it's like terrified.
Okay.
mm.
Everyone out there, did you feel the momentum? It's almost like the horror movie. We prep you, and then as soon as we say the parent consult, like, the scary part came on.
Yeah. But even so, I mean, because like that's something I tell like the students too. I mean, you need to incorporate the parents because you're only with the child 1 hour a week. So and then I also involve the school. That's another kind of team you have to involve. So because they're at school so much of the time during the week, and then at home. So you need to involve these different systems in the treatment. So even I mean, I've had cases where parents are really on board, they're willing to help, they want to kind of be an agent of change, but then you have some parents that's like that's where the kid gets the stuff from. So you have that, and so I mean, you kind of get different parents in your experience with kids. So I do empathize with some of the students who are like, oh my God, parents are the problem. But also involving them, working with them, maybe referring them to their own therapy down the road too. But you kind of get a different blend.
Yeah. And it's a lot of people, right? Both with working with children and working with couples, there's more than one person involved in treatment, even if they're not in the room all of the time.
Yes.
And I think that that's really scary, especially for newer clinicians, right? Like they get a lot of training on how to deal with one person in the room and be present for one person in the room. And then we, as system thinkers, think outside the box and pull more people in. And they're like, oh, this is really overwhelming. How do I stay balanced? How do I stay focused? How do I not get pulled into that triangle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Laura, if you got your way and then you had, let's talk, as Lisa Diane will say, let's talk about fantasies. And if you have your way, and our association, when we're working for the credential RPT, they will include also systems like help clinicians when they're not MFTs, because we're very privileged. Can we say that too? But like include classes in order to work with the system, in order to work with the family. Did you think that will help, or is that a fantasy that we have?
I think it would help. Whether it's going to be done, I don't know. So
It's a fantasy, Laura. Don't ruin it.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it kind of comes from the educators too, and kind of
Yeah.
teaching kind of from their perspective. So, at least in my classes, I teach about working with multidisciplinary teams. I teach about working with schools, with families. I give resources to all my students about how to involve them, what trainings to do. So, I
Yeah.
think it comes, I mean, that would be nice if it was a class on how to do it, but I think it just comes more from an individual level
Yeah.
and experience. So kind of having teachers who know how to work with kids, how to work with families, and then having them kind of educate on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Love
So,
that.
yeah, I was gonna say, so it's a combination, right? So it's like, how do we give you the foundation so that you can be grounded as you're working with multiple nervous systems in the room? How do you're able to zoom out in order to understand family dynamics and the impact that it has on each other? And then how do we throw you to the wall so that you can get life experience um, while you have a supervisor next to you so that it's not overwhelming and it's helping you be grounded and acquire that experience so that it becomes the gift?
Yeah, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, if we were to let's take that magic wand, Laura, and like keep going. So if we can do better in the programming and in our education for clinicians, that's one step. How else, like in the other systems, in agency work and community agencies and employers, how else can they consider being supportive to clinicians who want to work with kids?
Yeah, and I think part of that is I'm seeing a lot of that now, at least in LA and California,
Uh-huh.
is they're starting to incentivize
Oh,
people to
Oh,
work with kids. So I actually saw this loan repayment program. They're offering $100,000 off your loans to work at an approved site working with kids and adolescents. So
oh,
they're starting to incentivize clinic child therapists essentially. So I
yeah.
think sort of that's coming out. Um, and I don't know if that's just California, maybe just California, but there's some agencies out there that are kind of incentivizing that.
mhm,
But I think a lot of it also comes from, like, if you're talking about agencies, the supervisors.
yeah,
So being properly trained in working with kids and adolescents, because so much of the time you have supervisors who just work with adults their whole life, and then
Yeah.
they went to a school site and, okay, I can supervise you, but they don't have a lot of that experience. Because again, talking to an adult is different than talking to a kid. You may do play with a kid. So I think some of this, we may see some of that where like the quality of supervisors needs to kind of change too. And again, with kids, you still get burnout.
yes,
So I think kind of making sure that there's like the agencies like are paying their clinicians enough, because again,
mhm.
we're seeing that's an issue. Community mental health settings,
Oh, yes,
high risk of burnout.
Yeah.
Because I worked there, high risk of burnout. You get experience with kids, but they're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And then you get exposed to some trauma cases. So, kind of making sure you're being compensated for what you do, but also making sure that you have breaks, so that you have time off
Yeah.
and you're not working to the bone.
I love
All right.
that.
It sounds like you're ready to run to become the next president or CEO of the Association of Play Therapy, and you have my vote.
I love this though, because I think there needs to be systematic
Yeah,
change,
that's
right?
exactly
Mhm.
it.
For longevity in this
Yeah.
profession, especially
Yeah.
with kids, right? I think, you're naming some of the things that are on my wish list for child therapists. Like we should be compensated more. We do more work outside of the session.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
require additional specialized training and supervision. That all
Yeah.
comes with a cost.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's important for working with kids too, because again, like I tell my students, you're not going to be talking for 15 minutes with the child. You're going to be
Mhm.
doing things, playing with them. And then the cost of buying materials. And if you're working at a school-based setting, they already don't have enough money. So you're going to be buying stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to consider when working with this pop. It's rewarding. It can be rewarding, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
And I know I keep joking, right? Like, you have my vote. Tell me when you are running for it, because God, we will do some of the promotion for you. And all of that is, how do we speak to not only to our states, to our agencies, and then go the hierarchy, but even associations, because that's something that we don't name, which is they have us in this fantasy of your job is to provide, your job is to be available, your job is to support children, your job, like they give us this whole list of, what is it that we need to do? And then they don't take into account burnout. They don't take into account cost of living. They don't take into account truly self-care, not the BS that they're selling us right now. And how the high cost of just supplying a room, because you're absolutely right. The majority of the times we are spending the little money that we get and still have to pay our bills, but the little money that we get on buying things in order for us to provide the services that we're providing. So how do we advocate for anyone, all our listeners, right? Like if you are in a position of power, what are the things that you can do? How can you advocate? Are we writing grants? How are we helping in order to do this? How do you go and get supervision when right now there's a lot of barriers also to get that credential, because it's really expensive. Can we say that out loud? Well, I just did, but
this is our safe space. We can say what we need to.
But it's really expensive to become a RPTS. And now they have a lot of people who are eager and young, and they have all these fantasies and they want to do it. There's like this process now, which makes sense in one hand of why they want to do it, but also is creating barriers. And we're pushing people away now, because by the time that they can apply to become an RPTS, they're like, this is insane. I'm out. We already burned them out in the process. Would you agree, disagree, or you're neutral?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the RPTS process. What does that process look like?
Oh,
Doesn't sound good, but what is that process?
Well, I think, because you're close to finishing your RPT and submitting, Laura, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
One more
oh my
supervision.
God.
Yeah.
Erase everything that I say. We want you to continue.
So once you've obtained the RPT, which is a huge process, and endeavor to begin with, then you wait. You have to, I think it's at least 2 years continuing to provide play therapy, getting training. You have to do specialized training for play therapy supervision, and then you can apply for your RPTS. I can tell you that since starting our academy to try to help people obtain their RPT, a lot of RPTSs that I am familiar with and friendly with have stopped providing supervision, and have really kind of pulled back from doing supervision towards the credential. And that has more to do, I think, with the credentialing process rather than they don't want to supervise play therapists. I think they still are very passionate about play. They believe in play. They want to see more providers use play therapy. And if they feel like they can't help someone earn the credential because the credentialing process is cumbersome, then they are more hesitant to become to maintain an RPTS. That is my small little pie slice of the world, and that's what we've noticed.
Yeah.
But I think supervision in general, supervisors are becoming more and more, I don't want to say leery, but skeptical and safe, and are not taking on cases and supervisees that they are unsure about. And if you're not an RPTS, or you don't have to have the credential, right, to be a good supervisor. But if you don't have the experience of working with children, you cannot effectively supervise someone who is working with children. And it becomes this kind of domino effect of this lack of resources, lack of supervisors. And if there aren't supervisors, then there aren't going to be child therapists.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And from a state level, right, every state has different requirements for you to provide supervision. I know the agencies don't turn, they turn away and not pay attention to that. Universities do the same. I know out of a university here in Colorado who has just became an RPT recently, and that person was supervising And I'm like, questions here. So there's a lot of
Uh-oh.
places
Oh, I
that
think, oh, there she,
okay. And so there's a lot of places that don't pay attention to what are the state requirements. Can you supervise
Mhm.
in an agency? Not just because, and again, we have this discussion before in other podcasts, which is, oh, you're the chosen one, go supervise, without thinking of quality and ethical responsibility. But when you're talking about, I'm a child therapist and I'm working towards this training and I'm advocating so the systems, universities, agencies, so on and so forth, have proper supervision so that they can help us with the burnout issue that we have in our field, so that they can help us with quality supervision. Then that means that we have to be ethically responsible and get training and then get credentials in order for us to provide that service,
Yeah.
right? So all of that comes down to what are the systems and what are the barriers are being in place so that we can provide that. And something that the three of us here are passionate about is play therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm wondering, so we've talked about some of the hardships and barriers and reasons why people don't want to work with children. I'm wondering if we could turn the corner a little bit and share why it's worth it. Why
Mhm.
is it worth going through all of these barriers and jumping through these hoops to be a child therapist who utilizes play, to become a registered play therapist, if that is your goal?
Yeah.
Laura, what do you find rewarding about being a child therapist?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my kind of journey to become a child therapist was kind of unexpected. When I was in my master's program, even before then, I said I don't want to work with kids. They're too dramatic. I have to work with the parents. Like, so going through the program, even in my class for child therapy, I was like, okay, this is going to go one year out the other. I'm not gonna use any of this. And then my first job after I graduated was working with kids in community mental health because I thought, okay, it pays pretty well. It's good. It could be a good experience. I got to get those kid hours done anyway. So it's kind of just like, kind of, we'll just get through it, see how it is. And that was actually my first job working with kids, first job doing play therapy, play-based approaches. So I'm so glad I did that because I was able to kind of, one of the reasons why I do like to work with kids and adolescents is because you're going to be kind of that safe, steady adult in their life. Because especially working with kids and adolescents that are involved in the system, parents are going through a divorce, parents lost their rights or whatnot. It's a pretty traumatic kind of work
Yeah.
experience in
Yeah.
cases. But at least me being there in that role to see them laugh, to see them grow, to see them kind of really be a kid really made a difference. They couldn't control what was going on at home. They couldn't control, a lot of other situations, but they can be a kid with me. They can laugh with me. We kind of joke around. And that was something that was really light to see. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I still like to work with kids and adolescents so they can just have a space to be a kid, have space to kind of go at their pace. I'm not going to be their parent telling them kind of what to do. Oh, you need to do your chores. No, we're going to just play in session if we have to. That's something that they can control. And that's a little piece of what they control. That's
Mm.
something I do like to work with them about.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that it is rewarding,
Yeah.
right? And I think too, I was joking with a clinician the other day who only works with adults, and I said, I think you need to write the child therapists of the world a thank you note because those of us doing the work with the kids are going to make your future caseload a lot easier
Right.
to manage.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
Because there is something to that being able to work with them when they're young, when they're in the
Mhm.
moments of the hardship,
Yeah.
um, being a safe person for them in the beginning often sets them to have this mold that therapy is a good thing. Therapy is a
Mhm.
safe place. Therapy is somewhere I can go at any point in my life in the future if I need support, if I need help.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I work with adults too, and sometimes it's like I'm the first one that they've ever seen for mental health, and there's a lot of work that has to get done to get to the work of it because
Yeah.
there's been such stigma around mental health services, whereas care. And especially if you're a child therapist, you got cool toys and you want to play and be a goof with them. They are all over that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and you see the adults too. Like a lot of the adult, you work with adults because I have some adults on my caseload too. It's about attachment. A
Yes.
lot of the stuff that happened to them, like whether it's trauma, happened in their childhood.
Yes.
So kind of working with the children kind of at that place when it's kind of going on can really make a difference kind of as they progress.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you've listened to any of our episodes, you know I'm a proponent for play for all ages.
Yeah.
So I do play with my adult clients. I make, as a presenter, I make my adult trainees play because I think that that's really important. And there's just a lot. It's, one of the fears I hear a lot is like, these kids are going to judge me. I don't know how to be around them. And I'm like, kids are the most forgiving in our field than the adults are, right? It's those adults that are going to come in and judge you about why do you have a tiara on your head and have a magic wand in your hand. The kids are going to
I
be
am a queen, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think even adults tapping into kind of their own childhood too. Like one of my first classes when I was teaching the child and adolescent class, I brought Legos. I bought Play-Doh. I bought like kind of coloring utensils and kind of word searches, and I had them play. And it was like the feedback from them was really good because like they forgot the smell of Play-Doh. They forgot how creative they could be with Legos. So a lot of that is kind of tapping back into your own childhood, because if you can't kind of tap into that or kind of envision that, you're going to be kind of an awkward therapist in a way.
Yes.
So kind of getting back to that. So like a lot of that could be nostalgia.
Yeah.
So what is one of the songs you heard when you were a kid? What is something you did when you were a kid? And going back to that kind of route, because then you can kind of like know how to work with kids. So I think that's also important too.
Yeah. Going back, not only the attachment, right, that you've been naming from the beginning, but also like in that you're evaluating not only the trauma, but the emotional age, the chronological age, and where did we get stuck? What is it that we can go do here? Like it's beautiful, everything that you're naming here. What was popping in my mind is anyone who's listening and wants to send gift cards to Laura so that she can go get supplies for her classes, please feel free to do so. Let's help her out.
But I think it speaks to, right? Like there's additional costs involved when doing play for any age, but in general, if you're working with children, there's more expenses generally for us, whether that's through supplies or education or supervision. And I do think that that's something that the systems need to look at and consider. I'm so thankful that, the school that you're teaching at has you, and that you've really taken this on as a passion and are putting that out for your students, because I think that's where it starts, right? If we can get them while in their program to consider working with kids, that sets us up for, being open to doing an internship site with kids, then we're, taking that first job rather than, the experience like Laura that you have. And I had a very similar, I was like, I want you to just go try this out. Good luck. And
Yeah. By the way, my experience, I think I have shared this with you, Maria. It was completely the opposite, Laura. So I was actually in my master's and I knew I wanted to work with children. I was not interested in working with couples. Funny. I was not interested in working with families. Oh, the universe is so hilarious. And I was taking all the classes that I needed during my weekends in order to become a play therapist by the time, in my mind, by the time that I graduated from my master's, because I wanted to be prepared. I'm always over prepared. So my master's program was so hectic because I was during the week doing my master's and on my weekends looking for classes to be prepared. So most of my instructors had a hard time because I will carry my bag of toys in order to show and tell. and in order for me in my internship, I was prep. I didn't need anything from anyone because I was prep. However, saying this, everything was out of pocket. I was doing everything because I knew I wanted to work with kids. I was spending my money asking for gift cards for my birthday, Mother's Day, any holiday. I was like, give me a gift card too. And I was buying all those supplies that you're mentioning. So I think the more that I hear, right, I'm like, oh, I'm deception to the rule. I knew I wanted to do this from the beginning. I'm laughing, Laura, because now I'm working with couples and I'm working with parents. And I was like, okay, universe, I love your humor. I still work with kids, but like my forte now is if I want to help the kid, I have to help the system. I need the system to see the child, their child, through a different lens. I need them to remember what was that like to be at that age, the struggles, which we adults tend to forget. So the majority of my work is actually reminding, like you just named earlier, reminding parents, did you remember when? Did you remember how you felt? So you call it nostalgia, which is like that grief part. You felt it, you know it, you suppress it, and you push through. What if we go back and instead of continue ignoring, we attend to, and we go to this part of you, right? Like it's this beautiful work now that I tend to do with systems and the whole system in order to hopefully help the child so that I will not be the only attachment person. Like, let's work in a world to create more attachment people, attachifying people.
Yeah.
And I will not run for president.
Yeah. I have like major countertransference to couples, so I'm proud that you're doing the work with that. But I'm sure I know a lot of work does need to happen with the parents and the families, so that'll probably be on my path one day. But
if you're avoiding it, the universe has a very, very sarcastic way of saying, like, surprise here.
Yeah. That'll come.
It will come, Laura. Call us back.
Yeah. I'll do consultation.
Or a reunion, right? Like, let's come back and talk about it.
Yes, when you turn that corner, we'll be here. We can talk all about it because you're not the only one. It happens to all of us.
Yes.
It really does. Laura, what a gift you are to your students and that program and your community. I have had the pleasure of knowing you for a little bit now, and I know that you're making big changes in these systems by saying, no, this is important, and I'm going to start with my students and in my practice. So what a gift you are. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah, no problem. And like with the classes too, like I'm getting more and more students wanting to work with kids. So like I feel like my work is kind of being completed with that. So and I have some interested in being an RPT. So
look at you. Thank you. We do thank you because we do need you. And I really mean it. Listeners, if you feel like I can go buy a gift card, even if it's $5, $25, it doesn't matter. We're gonna include Laura's information. Please, instead of that cup of coffee, instead of like that, lunch at McDonald's, I'm not saying no McDonald's, but like instead of, like, let's send Laura a gift card so she can be paying it forward. I think that will be helpful. Don't you agree, Maria?
I think so. And we know every little bit helps, right? And especially for those trying to be advocates of change, it's not an easy process.
Yeah.
So thank you for making us aware of the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The barriers that are happening in our system. And for all of you listeners, besides sending those gift cards to Laura, we're going to have her information below in case if you want to give her a call and do a consultation, ask questions, pay her for her time. We like, please, I cannot underestimate, pay her for her time. And thank you again, Laura, for being here and for making us aware of everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thanks, Laura. Till next time.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on a Heroes Welcome podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe, just maybe, a little fun along the way.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your fellow healers. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful.